Hey everybody, welcome back to another review with me. I am your host Maxine and we are reviewing season 11, Ready to Love, episode 8. This episode is titled Meet the Detroit Friends. Okay, now this episode, the fellas are actually meeting the ladies' friends and they're gonna kind of pick apart who they feel like their friend should go with. Now, my thing with these types of missions is, first of all, I don't give a damn what my friends think. Right? I don't know. I feel like sometimes we put too much emphasis. Maybe that's why I don't have any friends like that, because I don't give a damn what they think. But I mean, ultimately, though, I think you have to make a decision for yourself. And when we put too much emphasis on, well, my friends don't like you, shit, or even or my family members don't like you, but, more so friends, I feel like they don't hold as much weight, if any. And dedicating an episode, I get it, we're doing it for TV, so it is what it is. But dedicating time to give friends any pedestal on the decisions that you make for your personal love life, what? Like, I just feel like who I decide to be in a romantic and sexual, intimate relationship with, that is my business alone. But I could go on a whole diatribe about that. But anyway, the women are in control. The women are in control. So we start off with Ashante. Ashante invites her two girlfriends with her to assess her top 3 matches. And she invites Bello, which, okay, I forgot that they had one moment together when he kind of grabs her up on the couch and he kind of grabbed her in a way like, okay, excuse me. I know this is a competition show and I know everyone has to have multiple connections, but the way he was grabbing her up made me feel like the show, so it's not a big deal, I guess. But Bello is a part of this experience for Ashante's connections here on this date. And she invites Carday as well as Steven. So here's the thing with Carday. I never was into him from the beginning. Like, I never saw it for him. I always felt like he was a bit contrived in the way that he spoke. It seemed like he was trying to say the cool thing to say, even with the way he wears his hair. I just feel like at this point, if we're no longer in the early 2000s, why do you have braids? Hello? Like, what are we doing? I feel like he's still living in 2007, 2005 era. But nonetheless, these men are meeting her two girlfriends. So there's a moment during this date in which Bello is making a connection with Ashante's friend, because apparently Ashante's friend is a practicing Muslim as well. Now, typically when we see women who are practicing Muslims, we see them more conservative in their appearance. But in this case, Ashante's friend has her midriff showing and proud as such, which is interesting because we don't usually see that side of the spectrum when it comes to practicing female or practicing Muslims who are women. But I think it's just the same as for Christians, right? Just with any faith, not everyone who is in the faith and who says, I am a practicing this or that, am I always going to appear this modest looking woman? Nonetheless, that shouldn't take away from her faith, right? Anyway, they have an exchange because they're both Islamic. And they're talking about Mahashalom, and it just became a moment when, like, okay, are y'all on a date? Are y'all on a date? Anyway, she's asking Bello So do you are you okay with Ashante not converting to Islam? And how do you really feel about it? Bello keeps on reassuring the point that he is fine with that. It's not a big deal. And I think men have more leeway to not date, or to not feel mandated to date a woman who is of the same faith. I think they have more of a leeway. From what I hear, I know that women in the faith, they're more pressure to date someone and marry someone who is of the same faith. But nonetheless, he keeps saying no, it's not a big deal. Is he lying? Yes. Yeah. I mean, I think he's not telling the truth. I really don't feel like he is being truthful here, but I mean, who knows? He may be telling the truth. I think Bello throughout this episode gave a salesman type of appearance and approach, response, like his whole aesthetic was, I'm going to sell you. I'm going to sell you. There's a point later on in this episode, we'll get to it, but he talks about how he wanted to name his daughter the same name of the friend who he meets. And he's like trying to make a connection here. And it's like, oh, your name is Bianca? Wow. When I learned that I just had a daughter, I was going to name her Bianca because my name is Bello and we wanted to keep the same B's in the name. Like, what? It was just a strange moment that was unnecessary. But because he wanted to make a connection so bad, and he just naturally is a salesman, and he is a salesman. I think he's a real estate agent, or he does something else. Like, he sells, like he's a seller. So this is what he does. Like, you have to draw connections when you're trying to sell to someone. So I don't know about Bello. Bello just gives disingenuous, but nonetheless, they have this, connection here just for that moment. Carday is speaking in language that is not convincing, because even Ashante's friend says, oh, that sounds like a textbook answer. They reference the awkward exchange from last episode between Carday's his ex-girlfriend and Ashante, when his ex-girlfriend was trying to was definitely challenging and cornering Ashante, and doing it effortlessly, actually. Like, she really gathered Ashante up. And Carday, during the whole exchange, did nothing. He did nothing to defend his new connection. And it's like, okay, look, I get it. You have more of a history with your ex-girlfriend, but you are trying to establish and see where this connection with this new woman, Ashante, can go. And you're not at all showing your presence here in this moment. And that's whack. So I think Carday definitely, he sucked ass for that. I think he definitely should be the one leaving just for that alone. But nonetheless, we continue on, and we're going to get into the next portion of this. I'm going to kind of pause and then get back into it. All right. So now we get to Shannon and her friend. Her friend is actually Mercedes from a previous season of Ready to Love. This was the season of Miami. And in that season, if y'all remember, Mercedes decided to choose herself from her connection with Mark Anthony. Mark Anthony was wanting to choose her. But in the last scene, the last episode, she decides actually, that she didn't want to continue anything because they're both long distance and they both kind of have this instability type of way about them. So it just wasn't going to work out from her perspective. But here's the thing, again, my point continues to stand when it comes to inviting your friends' opinions to weigh heavily on your personal, romantic, and sexual relationships. Or just one relationship. The point is, I don't give a damn. Now, I say that because Mercedes, she kind of came in with this hard on, I would say, because she immediately posed a question that I feel like was inappropriate, was unnecessary, and just ridiculous. It shaped the whole moment between the fellas, with Shannon, and just this whole date altogether. She asked the question, how many connections do you have? She asked those questions to the men. And the men that Shannon invited were Darius, Steven, and Devon, or Devon. And Darius still, well, Darius, well, why is he here? Y'all heard about the whole, like, he's on Tubi. I don't have Tubi. I haven't watched Tubi. I'm not interested in watching Tubi. I hear people talking about Tubi. It's going to be a no for me. But apparently, Darius is a star on Tubi. He is in 4 different movies in Tubi. And I'm wondering, how easy is it to get a movie uploaded to Tubi? Because at this point, maybe I should figure something out. Anyway, these are the 3 men on this date. Mercedes is asking each man, how many connections do you have along this process? How many connections do you have? And where does Shannon rank amongst your connections? And I'm just trying to understand, why do you need to ask such a question that is totally irrelevant, totally unnecessary, especially when you know, Mercedes, you've been down this road before. And I feel like she just kind of was setting them up for a trap. And she was going into it defensively, going into it with a lack of curiosity to really get to know them and understand some of their personality traits and different quirks, and see where they could fit possibly, in her opinion, in her friend Shannon's life. And this totally just tainted the experience for Shannon, I felt like, because at the end, we get Mercedes saying to Shannon, I wouldn't pick any of them. Well, bitch, are you me? But it seems that Shannon really cares, or really was taking into account what Mercedes was saying. So basically, when she asked all these questions, when she asked those 2 questions to each man, she literally went down the line. She started with Devon. Devon says he thinks he has 4 connections. And mind you, he said he thinks on purpose, because I guess he feels like one of them may not be as strong as he feels for them, right? It may be unrequited love. But nonetheless, he says he has 4 connections, and he says Shannon is his top 2, but not number 1. Because obviously, if she was number 1, he would have said she's his number 1. We go down the line again. But Devon does try to save face, like I have a strong connection with Shannon. And literally the other 2 men, Steven and Darius, they're saying the same thing. They're saying the same thing. And you could see it in Mercedes' face, and not just in her face, but in her reactions. She is unimpressed. She is kind of disappointed that how dare they have other connections. Like, girl, what? Of course they do. And of course Shannon does as well. Clearly they're all here meeting your ass. So we get to Darius. The question is asked, how many children do you have? And he poses the questions in a way. I mean, he responds to the question in a way to kind of settle the blow. Because instead of saying I have 4 children, just saying straight up I have 4 children, he says he has 2 adult children and 2 younger children. So Mercedes says, oh, so you have 4 kids. And you notice, at least for me, I saw that as her kind of answering it for him, because he's breaking it up in 2s, trying to make it seem like, look, you don't have to worry about it too much, because I have 2 adult kids. You know, I have 2 kids who are adults. They can fend for themselves. Well, I'm not raising them anymore. But I do have just 2 younger kids, but they're just two younger kids. Now, I don't remember if he ever said their age, so I don't know about that. But I definitely caught him answering it that way. That was definitely on purpose. But Mercedes clocked in and said, "Oh, so you have 4 kids." And I just want to understand. Look, I know I'm gonna sound like a pick me here, but I hate that we've come to this point in our civilization. Seriously, because this wasn't a thing many years ago, right? Maybe in the early '90s, maybe in the '70s, and definitely earlier than that. This wasn't a thing where, or when, and he is sharing that with a new suitor or someone who he's trying to suit. This isn't said as, or people aren't receiving it and saying, "Ooh, that's a bad match," or "Ooh, girl, you want to be like." It's just so sad that we look at children and having kids and getting pregnant. A lot of women nowadays look at that as just like the end of the world. Your life is over. And I just feel like we've been propagandized so poorly, because there was a period of time when I thought the same way, right? When I thought, oh man, a man with kids, ooh, girl, you better run fast. Where? Everyone has them. Like, and this whole idea of you could do better, you deserve better. Better is not here. I'm sorry, I'm gonna sound a bit depressing right now. Trigger warning. But better is where? Y'all talking about better. You can find a man with no kids. Okay, well, that man with no kids doesn't have ambition, doesn't have a job, doesn't have game, right? He doesn't know how to really talk to you. And but the man with 4 kids, he knows how to swoop me off my feet. He knows how to take care of me. So I'll quote unquote deal with, but I'll deal with the man with 4 kids. Two of them are adults. Two of them are adults, okay? I'll deal with that. But I'm just saying, like, we're living in a state of delusion, and it's really sad how we've been just brainwashed to see men who have kids as poor matches, just immediately just write them off. Anyway, I could just go on that's a whole episode, but nonetheless, this moment here was a dud. The men left, and Mercedes tells her friend, "I wouldn't pick any of them, not a one." And it's like, girl, Mercedes, please. Just because you decided to choose yourself, your single self still, you decided to choose yourself during your season. Now you want me to do the same? No, I'm going to leave here with something. And I think Shannon should take Mercedes' advice like a grain of salt. Don't even pick that shit up. You can't even pick it up. She should not take her advice at all. I think, according to how this episode went, we see Devon and Dominique kind of falter in their connection. And I think that can make Shannon his top girl. So that kind of boosts her up in the rankings. And out of these 3 men, I think Shannon has the strongest connection with Devon. So why not leave here with a man at least? Come on, dog. Like, this whole, you could do better. You could, where? What are we talking about? And how long is that going to take? I'm going to take him now. Okay, so now we get to Lauren. Lauren invites her 2 girlfriends, one with Cruella Duval's. She's a pretty woman though, but she has Cruella Duval's, how you say her name? But you know, that girl, the Wicked Witch, the Dalmatian character. She has her hairstyle, and then another regular black chick. So that's fine. So 2 pretty girlfriends, and they respectively meet Lauren's connections respectively. So except for Devon and no, Devon wasn't on it. Who was it? Scott. What? What's his name? Steven. And Bello. They met at the same time, but with Vince, he met Lauren's girlfriends by himself. So it starts off with Bello, okay? And Bello, like I mentioned earlier, gave his best salesman responses. He was even called a politician here. Bianca said, have you ever thought about getting into politics? Like, and that really speaks to how he communicates. He mentions how he has a 1-year-old daughter, and they talked about, well, how's that situation? Does the woman know, or would she feel comfortable with you moving on and getting married? Just trying to scope the scene if there could be any case of baby mama drama. He explains it so well, so much so that Bianca responds and says, have you ever thought about being a politician? He says how, some uneventful or unplanned things happen in life, and you just have to pivot and make the best of it. And he just explains it so well that, again, speaks to the reality of life, right? Like, sometimes we don't plan having families, and things do happen unexpectedly, and you just have to rise to the occasion, period. Like, okay. Why? My thing is, why should that have to be a red flag? Can we talk about that? Can we talk about that? Like, okay, yeah, he hasn't seen this woman enough times. He says he's seen Lauren more than he has seen the mother of his child, which is kind of wild, right? But we have to point the fact that they live in separate states. And again, this was a one-night situation that led to a baby being born. Okay? Instead of us not normalizing necessarily, but like always pushing for, well, she should have got an abortion. No. Or she should have just did what she wanted to do, which was have this baby. Okay. She had the baby, and now we're parents of this child, but we're not in a romantic relationship, and we're just doing this thing called co-parenting. Okay, it is what it is. So what does that mean? Oh, just because the child is 1 year old, does that mean Bello can't move on with his life? Does that mean Bello can't pursue romantic relationships? Hello? When he and this woman is not together, and it was just a one night hit it or quit it. So does that mean he has to be locked down until this child is 18 years old? What are we talking about? It's like sometimes we get into these like delusional ass conversations. And let's talk about it, right? Like when married couples are going through the process of divorce, before you sign the papers or file for divorce, you go through a period of separation. And sometimes that period is longer than you expect because the process of divorce, the separation of assets take a while. Does that mean you have to be celibate the whole? No, you could still move on with your life, explain your situation to whomever you're dating so they're fully aware, and then go about it accordingly. But I just feel like sometimes we get so caught up in these labels or these like fairy tale ass scenarios that we were again propagandized to believe because of the media, because of just the world around us, that we always fall short of reality. And we come into these real life situations with these Disney-like expectations. Okay, anyway, I could go on and on, but let's get back to this damn date. So yeah, Bello's explaining this, and because he explains it so well, the women will just like, okay, sounds good to me. Steve comes in. Steve's super cash, okay? He walks in with his hand in his pocket. I don't think he even hugged the women. Did he even hug Lauren? I think he did kind of, but I think he gave her a side hug. Like, okay, Steve, I get it. And oftentimes men, I think a man who is more calm and collected, I think that's more attractive, but at least come in with some energy. It looked like he just got off of work. It looked like he just like woke up from a nap. Steve, I need you to wake up. Wake it the fuck up. Wake it up. So Bello leaves at this time. Now it's just Steve with Lauren and the women. And he's talking about, he's hoping that Lauren's gonna give him a girl. And when people say stuff like that, they're just shooting the shit. I don't think he means that. I think they were just like talking, sweet talking, and that's just what it was. we jump into a scene with Vince. Vince is meeting Lauren's friends, and Vince, when Vince walks in anywhere, his eyes are always super wide. Like, why are you always looking shocked? But I still I'm team Vince. I'm rooting for Vince. I don't know, something about him I'm liking. They grill him about his height. He says he's 6'2". They go in and say, oh, are you a real 6'2", or are you really 5'11"? Now, here's what I could say, though. I think even though I do like Vince, I think Vince didn't handle this moment as best as he could have. But I feel like the women, I feel like it was just kind of like unnecessary to keep going. Anyway, I just think both of them, literally, Lauren's friends and Vince both failed in this exchange here. Because Vince already answered the question, right? He already said, I'm 6'2". What are you trying to get at? So if I was really 5'11", what would that mean? They point out the fact that, well, some men get weird when their woman is taller than them, and Lauren's already tall and she likes to wear heels. Would you feel comfortable? And so Vince says, okay, so your question is, what am I comfortable with her height? And then they say, no, our question is, are you 6'2"? Are you really 6'2"? And it's like, bitch, I just fucking said yes. now I know Vince already apologized for calling Lauren a tall bitch, or a bitch period. But at this point, I think it would have been apropos. I think it would have been apropos for Vince to call Lauren's two friends bitches, because bitch, I just fucking answered your question, bitch. Vince could have called them bitches and it would have been fine to me, in my opinion, respectfully. Beautiful women. But again, like, bitch, like, come on. But I just answered your question, but like, you know how you just say things just roll off your tongue? Bitch, he could have just said it like that, honestly, and it would have been fine, in my opinion. But it was just a moment of weird exchange. Lauren is talking in the confessionals, talking about the energy here in this moment is horrible. And it's like, is it? Or did your friends make it horrible? Did they contribute to this horrible energy? Which one is it? Anyway, they're talking about, if he has kids, he says he does. He has a 15-year-old and a 17-year-old. He says he's comfortable with just having 2 kids. But he would have another if the situation is right, but he's definitely comfortable with just keeping it at 2. And he kept it real. And the women, you could see that they were really impressed with his honesty, and even probably the way that he delivered it too. I think they were really impressed by him, more so than Bello, right? Because despite Bello being this perfectly worded response type of guy, he lacked the genuine connection that he could have made, despite him even saying, oh, I was going to name my daughter Bianca, who's the same name of Lauren's friend. It just felt like, okay. It just felt like he was like preparing scripts and memorized them and knew what to say during each, different exchanges. But with Vince, he came across very genuine, and it was clearly impressive to these women. Okay, so now we get to Ashley. Now, Ashley's energy throughout this date, y'all, something was off. And I don't know if she had a bad day. I don't know if she was just nervous. But something was definitely off with Ashley. But let's get into it. So Ashley brings her friend Brianna to this date. And Ashley introduces Brianna to Darius and Cardi. Now, again, Cardi, just the awkward, cool guy, or trying to be cool guy that he is, was awkward throughout this whole exchange. But Ashley was awkward too. Ashley was awkward too, because you would think that Ashley would let Brianna take the floor, right? Take the lead and just lead the conversation, right? Be the one to ask the questions. But I guess because these men weren't answering the questions the way Ashley thought they should have been, Ashley needed to ask the question herself. So, for example, we have Cardi. Cardi is being asked, you know, what can make you be less surface level? Because Ashley says she really likes Cardi because of his intelligence. He's really intelligent. But as Ashley's talking, Cardi cuts her off and says, "Thank you. I just want to let you know. Thank you so much for recognizing my intelligence. I just want to let you know that you're so intelligent too. You're you're such a wise girl too." It's like, okay, Cardi. Like, you did not need to cut me off to say that. Let me fucking talk, nigga. Like, I don't know. It felt like he wanted to just spew out whatever he had in his mind and share it before he forgets. And he wanted to try again and again so that he's leaving here letting these women have a good impression of him. But anyway, Ashley had to ask Cardi why, like, basically why, like, who are you? Like, what kind of will let you to be more of a deep guy, because you're not. It's still very surface level and it's very flatline with us. Cardi says how he's gonna do a better job. He needs to know, I need to know how you like to be touched, and who you are, and how you like to be held. And he was saying all these straight up lines that just felt so ridiculous. Like, Cardi, please. How about you just call me back? Huh? Because apparently he's not much of a caller. He's not much of a texter. But he's also trying to give the excuse. He said this during the confessionals, though. He said it specifically that he wants to feel like she will reciprocate, and he doesn't know if she would. So it seems like he's not as confident to take the leap with her, because he's not sure if she feels the same way about him. But that's the thing. I think Ashley has this impression that she gives to these men, which is why she only has 2 connections here. And unfortunately, Darius is one of them. But Ashley just comes across very surface level. She's talking about Cardi is surface level. Ashley, you are too. Like, I don't know. Did we miss a conversation when Ashley opened up to Cardi, and told him about emotional things that she experienced? Like, I don't think we missed that, because it didn't happen. And I'm surprised she didn't invite Bello, because Bello was a person she confided in about a schizophrenic, bipolar family member she has. Like, it's such a random thing to happen to mention. I guess, whatever, things happen. But anyway, we get to Darius now. So Darius is talking to Brianna, Ashley's friend, and Brianna poses the question, okay, so what changes about Ashley would you recommend for her to work on? Which I feel like was a weird question to ask, because what? What do you mean, what changes? I just met this man 2 weeks ago, and you're asking him what changes can he recommend that I should work on? But then then Darius says, well, for me to understand and learn about her, I want to say there's anything for her to change. And he's holding her hand and just trying to reassure her. It felt like he was trying to say, like, she's perfect just as she is. She's really great. But Ashley chimes in and says, no, she's saying, what would you expect of me? What would you expect of me in a relationship? What would you expect of me? It's like, Ashley, why are you talking? Ashley, why are you talking? Why are you always... It's like, it really felt like she was annoyed. It felt like Ashley was annoyed. She was perturbed. Maybe she was mad that these men weren't answering the way she wanted them to answer. I don't know. They weren't clocking it. Anyway, his response was unnecessary and weird. but she asked the question. Ashley asked, like, what would you want from me in a relationship? And I think he says he wants her to be herself. Okay. Darius. Darius, please. So now we get to Donna. Donna invites Steve and Vince. And I'm Team Vince, Team Vince. She invites her two girlfriends to meet them. And it starts off with Vince. Vince is so impressed with Donna because Donna is wearing this green, with this like lime green. I think it's like more of an olive green, actually. An olive green suit set, but titties are out. Titties are out. And Vince is like, whoa, with his big ass eyes, always looking wide. Like, okay, you never seen titties before. Okay, so we get into the whole, what are your intentions with my friend? What are your intentions? He says he wants to continue to get to know her and date her. But they're asking in the sense, because typically when people ask, what are your intentions? If your answer is not marriage and a family, then what are we talking about, right? And so again, that is what's been propagandized for women to believe that is the only way of achieving happiness and love. Anyway, am I bitter? Anyway, but if you hear me, please leave a comment below. I want to hear your thoughts. But we get to his response. He says, I'm not dating. Vince says very clearly and honestly. And that's why I like Vince. He's standing 10 toes down. He could say, look, I apologize for calling you a tall bitch, and I'm letting you know I'm not dating to get married. I'm dating to get to know you and see if this could lead to marriage. But I'm not dating to instantly get, I think sometimes there is a pressure when people say I'm dating to get married. There's a pressure of, whoever I'm dating, this has to be my wife. Like, I don't care what happens between us, we gonna get married. And instead of saying the more Disney answer, the answer that would appease the appetite of these two women, that's on the behalf of Donna. He's saying, I'm not dating to get, he's telling you very clearly, I'm not dating to get married. I'm dating to get to know you and still see if this could lead to marriage, and whatever will be. And he also makes the clarity that I sure would have loved to have met Donna at a different stage in my life, but I'm not going to change my process or my pace just because she is at a stage in her life where, when she wants children, and she is of a different timeline, and she would need to pop some babies out probably within a year. And I think Vince's response to that was very, again, clear and understandable. Like, I should not have to change my timeline just because you have your own specific and strict timeline. I'm not doing that. So it's either going to be what it's going to be, but I'm not dating to marry. That's what he said. So he's about to leave out, or before he leaves, Steve comes and joins them. Steve's super slow in his walk, slow in his speech, and just like, rah, 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 rah. But I think Steve ultimately did not leave an impression for most of his dates, because he was definitely repeated throughout this episode. I think one of the women, like one of the friends says, it was Lauren. Lauren's friend, was it Lauren's friend? No, wasn't it someone else? I don't know, but someone else. But I thought it was Lauren's friends who actually said, Lauren's friend said that they felt like he wasn't much of a confident guy. Or was it Don? One of them. It was definitely said that Steve gave the impression that he's not much of a confident guy. And it's like, I don't want to shoot him down like that. I don't think he lacks confidence. I just think he's a very low energy type of guy. Some men are just like that. That doesn't mean you're not confident. I think, again, we have to like unlearn some of these things. We got to unlearn these Disney filled type of relationships. We have to unlearn that men who have kids and want to date and get in a relationship or whatever, like, oh, they're a red flag because you have a kid or you have a 1 year old and you're not with the baby mom. If you're not with the baby mom, okay, that doesn't, that means you can't move on with your life. What are we talking? Anyway, let's move on. So yeah, Steve wasn't really giving anything. He is a bore. No offense to Steve. So we get to the last scene, y'all. The last scene, which definitely was a scene, okay? So Dominique invites Bello, of course, Carday, which is, again, what? But Carday and Devon, okay? And her two girlfriends, who she describes are two of her best friends, which I already feel like that's a red flag. That's a red flag already. What do you mean two of your best? What is a best friend? Can we cut it out? Again, this is someone who's saying this with little to no friends. Like real friends. You know what I mean? Like, what are we talking about best friends? What is a best friend? Gone are the days when you really have a best friend and that's your best friend, right? Now it's, oh, that's one of my best friends. That's another one of my best friends. That's another. How many best friends do you have? Then what is a best friend if you have a lot of best friends? What? Is this your best friend for clubbing? Is this your best friend when you're at work? Is this your best, you know what I mean? Like, if you're categorizing your friends like that, then cut out the whole best friend thing. Just say, this is my good girlfriend. We kicking at work. We kick it at work. This is my good girlfriend. We kicking when we go to the club. Anyway, I could go on it. Anyway, these women, again, coming in with the energy of like, just, well, one of them actually, the one with the short hair who stood up and did a whole twirl. Like, ma'am, are you trying to be on the show? Are you trying to be casted for the next season and move to that city? Because why did you just get up and twirl like that? But anyway, she's asking questions that were just unnecessary and inappropriate, just like Mercedes did earlier with the whole, where, how many other connections do you have? How would you rank Dominique in your connections? What does that understand? That I have multiple connections too. Just like she has 3 men on this damn date, I have 3 women too. Like, what are we talking about? Anyway, Carday arrives first. He hands a rose to everyone present, which was okay, cool. But Carday comes in with this, what up, though? Carday, please. I know you're from Detroit. Maybe everyone in Detroit says that. But Carday, please. Not you. Not you. So he says that he comes in saying how he's just so connected to her. He loves her intelligence, and he's saying, I love her emotional intelligence. Like, he's really trying to win over the fact that she's so intelligent. How? In what ways has she shown emotion? Like, can we be specific here? Y'all just be saying words. So Devon comes, or Devon, I don't know if I'm saying his name wrong, but y'all know who I'm talking about. And my apologies if I'm saying your name wrong. I hate when people do that. So just please understand, I'm not trying to be rude. So Devon comes in, and he's kind of caught off guard because he didn't realize he should have put on a suit jacket. One thing Devon's going to wear is a quarter zip. That's one thing Devon will absolutely wear. He is going to show up with a fleece and a quarter zip, okay, and a 3 o'clock shadow. Because Devon, did you just wake up too? Okay. But he comes in smiling, looking like Berenstain Bear, and they immediately just harp on him. They say, so basically, how would you connect, or how would you rank Dominique? What other connections do you have? Do you have other connections? And he says, well, yeah, we're trying to figure it out. That's a part of the process. And Devon's being clear too. Like, he's being very honest. I have other connections here, just as you do. Like, I think Dominique was annoyed because she expected him, this nerd, right? This university lecturer or whatever he is at a university. She expected him to be fawning over her. She expected him to be like, no, I love Dominique, like just worship her feet. But because Devon stood 10 toes strong and said, well, yeah, I do have other connections, and we're trying to figure it out. But she's my top connection. Like, he's trying to reassure her by saying she's my top connection, but that clearly wasn't enough. So Bello comes in. He comes in, give her a nice hug, a swoop of a hug. But actually, let me just point out, Devon, when he came in, he didn't give Dominique a hug. I think he was just nervous. I mean, he said it during the confessional that whenever he comes to these dates, he comes in with some anxiety. And he didn't come in hugging her and really showing her like, I'll dig you down right now type of energy. He didn't give her that. And I think that's what led it to be what it was for him. It was definitely feeling like a moment of discomfort. Anyway, when Bello came in, he gives her a hug. He talks about how he's drawn to Dominique and he's been drawn to her from the beginning. And he says it so well, right? He's very eloquent in his speech, obviously, right? He's a salesman. But right after he speaks, we have Carday talking about, hey, I just want to piggyback off of that like a nerd. What are we talking about, piggyback? Is this a debate? Are you on the debate team, Carday? You want to piggyback off of that? Don't be piggybacking off of someone else's sentiments about me. What? Like, figure out your own words and say it right after, or you should have said it earlier. But because he said it, now I have to piggyback off of that and really double down. Carter is just he's a nerd. He's a nerd. So with this last scene, we have Devon. He's sweating. He's sweating bricks. He tells the ladies, he tells the whole table, we need to reset. We need to reset. I'm not liking this energy right now. I'm not understanding. Like, wow. Like, he was like, what's that meme where you're just like kind of that Squidward meme from SpongeBob? That's Devon. Dominique is annoyed because she feels like his energy is not consistent. And he's not showing her friends how he feels about her. Like, he's coming across very quiet, and she describes her friends as beasts, and when they see blood they'll pounce, and they're predators in a sense. And it's like, but that's not okay either. Like, okay, I get you want to be loved out loud. I think that's totally fair and valid, and you want your friends to see how he talks to you. Like, you want that to be shown. Sure, that's totally fine. I get that. But why are your friends acting like that? Like, even Carday said he knew it was going to be something when he walked in. Or was it Bello too? Bello also said like he felt the tension in the room. And Carday said in his confessional that when he saw them with their jackets worn the way that is worn, he knew that they were serious. And I feel like that is not okay. Because we should not have to come into this feeling like I'm just on a chopping block, or like I'm going to be eating. Look, I know you want to support your friend and make sure you're spotting out any red flags, but you have to kind of lube the person up. You have to kind of, make them feel comfortable, talk to them nice. Smile, like show your shoulders. Like, they're both wearing these jackets. Their sleeves are not, like, their arms are not in the sleeves of the jacket, And it's just given this very masculine energy that was unnecessary and inappropriate. That's the theme of this episode. Unnecessary and inappropriate. Meaning the friends, unnecessary and inappropriate. Asking where do they fall? Where does the girl fall along your other connections? Unnecessary, inappropriate. How would you rank like how many of the connections do you have? Unnecessary and inappropriate. Like all of this whole episode was unnecessary and inappropriate. Devin asks, okay, so what, like, you acting like I don't let you know how much I love you, or you act like you don't know how much I love you. I feel like Devin wanted to scream but Dominique, her point is, again, I want you to show my friends. And look, I get it. Be loved out loud. I get that. But also, who the fuck cares about what your friends think? Hello? Can we stop there? Can we just stop there? I don't give a damn what you tell my friends or what you show my friends. Show me. Make me feel like, don't treat me differently, of course, and like when we're in public. But you don't have to like confess. I don't know. I just feel like some things that are shared between us don't need to be shared with the public. Not all the things, at least. It doesn't need to be shared with the public just to kind of validate something with the public. I think sometimes when people say that, they just want Instagram or Facebook or just any other parts of social media to be aware of their relationship and put on this facade. And I just think that is so disingenuous. But anyway, we end there, y'all. We end there on a to be continued. I feel like Carday and Steven maybe the eliminates for this one. And I think Carday is going to be the one who's going to go. I really do. But I think Devon, I think they did him wrong here. He did not deserve that. I think Mercedes did him wrong here too earlier, and probably planted a bad seed in Shannon's ear. And that's going to make Devon possibly be on the bottom of the totem pole. So we'll see how that goes. Let me know what y'all think about this episode. Leave your comments down below. I would love to read them in a future review with me. I would really want to see what you guys think about X, Y, and Z. So let me know what y'all think. Make sure you are subscribed. That is your way of supporting this channel. I really appreciate that. And I hope you are having a great start to the new year, 2026. I'll see y'all next time.